All right, good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of everyone here at Career Communications Group, I would like to welcome you to our 2020 Women of Color STEM Awards nominations webinar. My name is Jennifer Roberts, and I'm going to be hosting this webinar today. On the line, we also have Brandon Newby, who's going to be helping by facilitating this webinar. Together, between Brandon and I, we're going to be your one-stop shop for all nominations-based questions today and up until the deadline. So today I've structured the webinar based on some common questions that we receive from nominators and our organizations that we work with. We'll be going through each of these facets of the nomination process, and then at the end of the presentation, we'll be answering all of your questions. So during the presentation, please use the chat feature on your GoToWebinar control panel. At the very bottom, there should be a drop-down for chat. Type in any of your questions, and at the very end, we'll go ahead and answer those. So a couple things that we're going to answer today. Why nominate? What are the categories to nominate for? What documentation is required? How do I submit the nomination? And then when are our nominations due? So we're going to go ahead and get started with why nominate. And I would argue that you can break down the reasons to nominate into three distinct categories: recognition, retention, and representation. So on face value, it's easy to see that recognition programs are about rewarding high-awarding achievers, but recognition runs much deeper than just that surface level response. When an awardee is chosen, it's not only the individual that's being celebrated, but also the organization for their achievements, their fostering of talent, and their diversity leadership. By nominating, you're utilizing your key players as a way of representing what your organization stands for. You're raising the profile of your organization as an employer of choice amongst women, racial, and ethnic minority groups. This gives your organization the competitive edge when recruiting new hires as well. Nominating your top performers is one of our awards, aligns your organization with CCG, which is a national leader in diversity recruitment, recognition, and retention for nearly 40 years. The second topic would be retention. By celebrating your A players, you're more likely to retain them as employees and even supporters of the organization when they move on. Studies and surveys by Watson and Wyatt, US Department of Labor, Gallup, KPMG, and others show a strong correlation between employee recognition and retention. One Watson and Wyatt survey revealed that a 13% lower turnover rate for employers that had a clear recognition strategy over those that didn't have one. And then the US Department of Labor cites that lack of appreciation is the #1 reason employees leave their jobs. And that brings me to my last point, which is representation. And, our awards program is inclusive. Our award winners come from all different races, ethnicities, genders, generations. Each winner has overcome adversity and stands as an inspiration to someone in our audience. At the end of the day, our awards are about telling important stories and making connections. Our awardees are often inspired to mentor and give back to help fortify our trusted community. So at this point, you may be thinking, how do I get started? So I would say that the first place to start is to pick a candidate and then pick a category. And there are two main categories at the Women of Color STEM conference and with our awards program. We have our peer-reviewed awards and our Outstanding Achievement Awards. The peer-reviewed awards are nominated by your organization, and then they're vetted externally by the selection committee that reads all of the packages. The selection committee is made up of leaders in diversity and inclusion and in STEM from government, industry, and academia. The nominees that then make the cut are recognized externally at the conference. And every year there are only a limited number of peer-reviewed awardees at the conference. The Outstanding Achievement Awards, on the other hand, are nominated and vetted internally by the organization. And then CCG then recognizes them externally every year at the conference. So to reiterate, the main difference between the peer-reviewed awards and the selection committee award, or I'm sorry, the peer-reviewed and the Outstanding Achievement Awards, is that the peer-reviewed, reviewed by the selection committee, outstanding achievement, they are not. Peer-reviewed awards are going to be presented at the Breakfast with Leaders and Legends, which is on Saturday morning, and the Women of Color Awards Gala and Dinner, which is on Saturday evening. The Outstanding Achievement Awards, you may also hear them referred to as Technology Rising Stars and All Stars. They're the same thing. Those are going to be presented at the Technology Recognition Luncheon. For those of you that may have attended in the past, you know that there are usually very many of the Technology Recognition Luncheon awardees, and that is typically presented in a graduation style. Whereas the peer-reviewed awards, they come up, they make a speech, they receive a trophy, and then we move to the next awardee. So here is a list of all of the categories that you could nominate someone for, split out between peer-reviewed and Outstanding Achievement Award categories. So on the left, you've got your career achievements, your community service, corporate responsibility, diversity leadership, and then you have your educational leadership broken down between college level, corporate promotion, and K through 12. Your managerial leadership, your new media IT leadership, outstanding technical contribution, professional achievement, student leadership, and technical innovation. It's important to note that the only real age or really experience parameters that we set on these awards are with the career achievement and the professional achievement. They're very much a similar type of award, except that the Career Achievement Award is really geared to those that have been in their career for more than 15 years, a significant amount of time. They're usually in the later stages of their career, you know, reaching retirement, some of them, whereas professional achievement is usually 14 years or fewer of professional experience. They're sort of the rising, you know, the rising new kids on the block. And you know, they've proven themselves, but they still have a long way to go before retirement. Those are the peer-reviewed awards. Those are, again, those awards that are given out at the breakfast and the gala. And then we have our Outstanding Achievement Award categories, and those are the Technology All-Star and the Technology Rising Star. They also have the same delineation that career and professional achievement do. So anyone who's 15 years or more of experience in their field is a Technology All-Star. Anyone with 14 or fewer would be a Technology Rising Star. So a question that I get asked quite a lot actually is, what about Technologist of the Year? Why can't I nominate for Technologist of the Year? And we should note that that is considered to be a discretionary award. So the individuals chosen by the committees that are reviewing all of the applications. There are a list of discretionary awards that can be given each year. Technologist of the Year is considered the top award, and it is discretionary, but others include Special Recognition, President's Award, and Pioneer Award. There are others, but the one that's given every year is Technologist of the Year. These discretionary awards are still considered peer-reviewed because they are coming from that pool of peer-reviewed, and they are being reviewed by the selection committee. So now that you've decided which category you want to nominate someone for, what documentation is required? And it's going to vary depending on whether you're doing an Outstanding Achievement Award package or peer-reviewed. If you're doing a peer-reviewed package, so anything like career achievement or managerial leadership, all of the documentation on your screen is what's going to be required. Your cover page, your table of contents, a cover letter, reason for nomination, a nomination form, a current biography or resume, full job description or CV, organizational chart, papers and articles by and about the nominee, letters of recommendation, and other significant supporting materials, as well as a recent photograph. If you're submitting a nomination for an Outstanding Achievement Award package, only those things that have an asterisk next to them are required, which is the cover letter or reason for nomination, the nomination form, current biography or resume, and a recent photograph. Now I'm going to go into each of these a little bit more closely. So the cover page typically would contain the conference name and year. That helps us see what was nominated for what year. The name and title of the nominee, the nominee's organization's name, and the award category. Sometimes it'll have a picture of the awardee on the cover. Sometimes it'll have just a generic company look to it. It'll have like the company logo and colors, for instance. Table of contents is the next thing. It's just going to list all the items that are required and the page numbers where everything begins. Cover letter or reason for nomination is typically a 1 to 2 page letter that clearly states why the candidate should be recognized for the selection of for the selected award classification. This is one of those that is required by the OAAs. Typically, this is written by the nominator, and it is something that is personal and not a canned message. You know, we're always looking for something that's going to extrapolate on the story of the individual, that's going to give us an outside perspective on this individual. Then we have the nomination form that we provide to you. All you need to do is type it up, print it, or print in that information. The catch is that the nomination form must be signed either physically or electronically. We don't mind if it's electronically signed, but it has to be signed, and that's just indicating that the nominator is basically vouching for this person, that they know them personally, and that they are confident in their nomination. This is required for all nominations, including the OAAs. Then we have current biography or resume. So all crucial decisions, career changes, community involvement should be concisely detailed into a 1 or 2 page document. This is the place to tell the nominee's story. We often get questions, well, how am I supposed to do this if I'm supposed to, you know, surprise the nominee or something? I would argue that if you are going for one of our peer-reviewed awards, or if you are looking to seek any kind of awards, the person who's going to tell the story the best is probably going to be the nominee. So I would really collaborate. They know their story better than anybody, and they probably are the best at telling their story. So I would recommend collaborating with them. A biography is a great way to do that because they can talk about, you know, their early years. Maybe they had a hard time growing up. They struggled with money or insecurity, or, you know, food insecurity, things like that. And now look where they are. Or sometimes they talk about, you know, the struggles they had early in their career, or the struggles that they're having currently with discrimination or something along that lines. And they're the ones that are going to know that the best and be able to tell that the best. And then we also ask for it to be coupled with a full job description or a CV. I would recommend that if you provide a resume instead of a biography, that you provide the job description. If you provide the current biography, you can do either the job description or the CV. But really, a lot of the times the CV overlaps the same material as the resume. And you don't want to put 2 documents in there that are telling the same story. You want to have every piece of the document, every piece of the package really supporting a bigger story. So if you decide to use the full job description, the full job description should distinguish the nominee and give the scope of their position, including budget and management capacity if applicable. And then again, the CV should be all encompassing and help tell the story. The organizational chart is going to give the selection committee an idea of where the nominee fits within his or her department or organization. I typically give the advice that you should really be clear as to who the individual is if you're only putting positions on the organization chart, because sometimes that is difficult to find out who we're looking at. It's always good to see from the top down so that we can see, you know, the selection committee is able to see very clearly that, you know, here's the CEO, they're the top of the organization, and maybe this person, it works directly for the CEO. Maybe this person works 3 levels from the CEO, and that makes a difference. It's also, you know, it's always a good idea also to see, you know, where maybe the nominator fits into that. You know, they may have been nominated by their direct supervisor, or they may have been nominated by 3 supervisors up. It just depends, but it you know, it gives more context. Papers and articles by and about the nominee. Now, a lot of nominators include the whole paper, the whole articles. Articles aren't usually a big deal because articles tend to be little. They can be, you know, a page, 2 pages, maybe in a newspaper or a magazine. But papers can sometimes get to be 100 pages long, if not more. The selection committee, you know, it is reading a lot of different packages and may not have time to read the full paper. So we do ask that you only include either summaries or abstracts of the papers. There's no need to include the entire paper. And then for articles, if there are long articles, just enclose a brief summary highlighting the main points of each one. And then we have our letters of recommendation. So typically we receive letters of recommendation from both inside and outside the organization that speak to the value of the nominee's contributions in the field. So if they are heavily involved in community service and maybe they're going for the community service award, then they would most likely have a pretty heavy side of letters of recommendation from maybe organizations they work with, you know, maybe Girl Scouts of America, or if they work with a local STEM organization, sometimes we'll see those. And then they also will often have letters of recommendation from within their organization or from their past organizations. In addition, we have other significant supporting materials. So this can include personal history, information explaining the candidate's background, struggles, achievements, awards, certificates, patents received or pending. We see a lot of people will, you know, go around their office and take pictures of all the awards that are up in their office. And that works because that shows that, you know, they're getting recognition, they're making achievements. You know, I've seen people include things like, you know, they've done different charitable works in other countries or things like that they'll include. So not just things that are directly related to their position, but also just how they're people doing really good work. The last piece is the recent photograph, and we typically request that it's a professional full or quarter body shot, and we prefer these over headshots because they look so much better in magazines than say a phone photo or something like that. It gives us a lot more range. If someone is chosen as Technologist of the Year, that's really important because they're going to be featured in the magazine. And the more photos we have to choose from, the better the magazine spread's going to be. We do ask for digital photographs only, high resolution, minimum 300 DPI, either an EPS, a JPEG, or a TIFF. And then we're saying minimum size about a 5:7. To give you an idea of someone who has, you know, whose photos we have Dr. Pamela McCauley here, who these are 2 photos from her spreads in the 2019 conference edition. So it gives you an idea of what kind of photos we're looking for and what looks really great in a magazine. So the next point is how do I submit the nomination? So this year, it's more important than ever that all nominations are submitted electronically at www.ccgheroes.com. We do not need physical copies mailed to us. I know that that's going to be harder than ever for people to make it to the post office this year with the global climate. Things are going to be delayed because of you know, all different situations. And so what we ask is that everything goes electronically and that nothing is mailed to us physically. It's also important to note that self-nominations are not accepted. If we see that it's a self-nomination, you'll probably get an email back from me that says, unfortunately, we are unable to take this at this time because it's a self-nomination. We also ask that you always follow your organization's policies for recognition. Sometimes, different organizations are going to have different policies on who is permitted to nominate, how they go about nominating, who it has to be channeled through. So just make sure you check with your organization. That doesn't mean that you can't be a champion for a specific nominee and help to get everything together if you have to have it go through a certain channel. And then finally, all communication and notification will go out through email from nominations@ccgmag.com. So always keep an eye out for that email address. So at this time, what I'm going to go ahead and do is go to our ccgheroes.com. And this is what our ccgheroes.com page looks like currently. It's going to have a lot of great information for you. Right now, it's advertising our webinar. It also has BEA's nominations currently up. But what I wanted to show you is a little bit more on dates and deadlines, as well as award categories. So you can look at the Women of Color Professional Peer Reviewed. If you want to get a better idea of career achievement, you click on career achievement and it gives you a more detailed description of what that category means and what goes into that. We have information about application preparation, the peer-reviewed awards versus the OAAs, post-nomination, what you can expect, winner selection, and selection criteria. So I definitely take a look at www.ccgheroes.com. This is also how you're going to be able to access the nominations for Women of Color. And there's a couple places on this page where you can do it. The easiest way is in our sticky menu here, where it says Nominate WOC. And we're going to go ahead and click that. And when you get to this, it's going to open up this new page. It says, welcome to the 2020 Women of Color STEM Nominations portal. Click Apply now to begin your nomination application. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And it's going to prompt you to do one of two things. And the great thing about the system is that if you've nominated before, you can actually log back into your old account and see everybody you've already previously nominated. If you want to build off of an application, you can do that. You can download a package that you may have uploaded in the past just to see what you did last year. Or you can go ahead and create a new account if you've never used our site before. So I'm going to go ahead and log into my account just to show you what that would look like. So when I log in, it's going to pull up the application immediately. And this is the new application. And the great thing is because I am a nominator and I've set up my account as a nominator, a lot of my information is going to pre-fill. So I'll just have to complete everything that has an asterisk on it, which is going to be my title, first name, last name, company name, job title, email address, my mailing address, and then I just have to click off that I confirm that I'm personally acquainted with the nominee and hereby endorse the nomination. So then for right now, I'm going to click Save and Next so I can show you the next step in the process. The next page is going to be all of the candidate information. It's also going to be where you can actually choose which award category you're nominating for. So I'm going to say, let's nominate for professional awards. And we're going to nominate somebody for, let's see, outstanding technical contribution. So now I'm going to have to enter all of their information, everything that has an asterisk. So that's going to be prefix, first name, last name, nominee title, organization, email address, phone number, mailing address, years of professional experience. We ask that you enter in their undergraduate college, undergraduate major, any post-grad university or major that they have. And then it'll tell you exactly what you need to upload. So cover page, table of contents, cover letter, everything that we just discussed. If you need a copy of the signed nomination form, you can actually click right there. It'll pull up the PDF for you. And then you're going to upload 3 different pieces. You're going to upload the nomination form signed as a single PDF. You're going to upload the entire package as a single PDF. And then you're going to upload the high-res photo as either an EPS, a JPEG, or a TIFF. And it gives you the photo guidelines again. Then you'll click Save and Submit. In this case, I haven't finished everything, so it's going to go back and prompt me to finish everything. but once you click save and submit, it'll come up, tell you that it has been submitted, and an email will go to your email address that you have put on file. Say I don't finish my application today, we're just gonna say leave. I'll have all of my in-progress applications available. So I can go back at any time. So I can start, leave it, come back, log back in and say, oh, I didn't finish Jane Doe's nomination package. Let me add some more information now that I've got her other documentation, for instance. So it's a really good site to be able to do that as well. So I'm going to jump right back into the PowerPoint here. Another question that I get asked pretty a lot, let's say that I get asked a lot, is when are nominations due? And there are a couple different due dates. The first is going to be April 30th. And that's for all peer-reviewed award nominations. So that is going to be a month basically from today, and all of those nominations are due. And then Outstanding Achievement Award nominations are due about 15 days later on May 15th. And then again, awards are going to be presented at the Women of Color STEM Conference, which is going to be in October, from October 8th to the 10th. And then, of course, if you need any help during the process, please feel free to reach out to us. Both Brandon and I will be able to answer any of your questions. The best email to catch us is going to be at nominations@ccgmag.com. Our phone number is 410-244-7101, and we have all of our social media tags as well. YouTube is a really great place to see a lot more videos. Our digital media team has done a really great job of creating videos of speeches of all of our award winners, you know, showing why you should nominate. So there's some really great content in there if you want to get some ideas. At this time, what I'm going to do is open it up for questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Brandon to start asking some of those.
Hello, everyone. So looking in our chat and in the question section, actually, we do have one question. I see that it says, can I complete the online application on behalf of my nominator to make it easier for my nominator?
Absolutely. So the person that nominates does not have to be the same person that completes the application. And we do see that quite a lot, especially with organizations that nominate many different individuals. What we do ask is that the nomination form that is signed must be signed by the nominator. And then what I would also recommend is that you type in the nominator's information into the form. It will have all of that information on there. So then once they do that, then we'll be sending all of their contact out to the nominators instead of the person who submitted the application. So yes, the answer is absolutely. The account would be created in the persons who who created it. So and then the communication would go back and forth with the nominator. Okay.
So we have another question asking
Okay.
if we can see the deadlines once more.
Absolutely. Let me switch back to there for you. All right, great. I'll leave it on there for a while.
While everyone is kind of looking at these deadlines, will this presentation be shared?
Yes, this presentation is going to be recorded. Everybody who registered, whether they attended or not today, or attended for any period of time, will be emailed this tomorrow. They'll be emailed both the deck as well as the actual recording.
Can one person submit all the nominations on behalf of the company?
Yes, they can. We do see often, it just depends on regulations of the company. Some organizations, they require everything to come through their diversity and inclusion department. And so, you know, it's the head of the diversity and inclusion department submitting all nominations. That is totally okay, as long as you are vouching for them for your company, that you know this person, or you know your organization knows this person, and are comfortable with nominating them. So the answer is absolutely.
Okay. Um, since there is everything going on in terms of the social distancing, has there been any consideration given to extending the deadline for the peer-reviewed submissions?
So at this time, that is the deadline. If you are, because of social distancing and everything that's going on with the global climate, if you are in need of maybe an extension, please just reach out to us at nominations@ccgmag.com. We'll take all of the factors into account and make a decision whether we're going to be able to provide an extension. So definitely reach out via nomination@ccgmag.com. And that decision is going to be made by our executives at the company.
Okay. Could we please have a clarification between the difference um, between the peer-reviewed awards and the Outstanding Achievement Awards?
Absolutely. So I'm going to put it in a couple different terms, and I'm actually going to go back in my presentation just a little bit. So the easiest way to say it, we don't place it in this kind of context, but I know some other organizations do. They'll refer to the peer reviewed as either competitive or tier one. You'll hear your organization say that. I hear that all the time. Outstanding achievement they may refer to as non-competitive or tier two. Really, what it comes down to is that the peer-reviewed are competitive awards. So you are competing against everyone in that same category for maybe 1 or 2 awards that are being given out. With the Outstanding Achievement Awards, it doesn't go to a selection committee. And basically the organization is, your organization, your company, is vetting the candidates for us. So you're saying, you're basically vouching that these are great candidates. They should receive an recognition. Sorry about that. Recognition on a national, international, really scale. And so there is sort of that difference. So what you'll see is with peer-reviewed awards, they'll come onto the stage, and I would recommend seeing this on our YouTube channel. You'll see the Breakfast with Leaders and Legends and the Women of Color Gala. They'll come onto the stage, they'll get a trophy, they'll be announced by usually a high-ranking exec at their organization or someone who is a leader in diversity and inclusion or STEM. They'll come onto the stage, receive a trophy, make a speech, and then walk off. And then at the luncheon, which is where the Outstanding Achievement Awards, that's the same, using the same terminology as technology recognition. I'm sorry, technology rising star, technology all-star. They're actually going to be graduation style, so they'll have a certificate. They'll walk up to the stage. They'll take a picture with the announcers, and then they'll walk off the other side of the stage. So they're just different levels and different types of recognition.
Okay. So the next question is more of a clarification question. The nomination packet says that the years of professional experience is 22 plus years, but you mentioned that it's 14 plus years.
Correct.
Would you be able to clarify?
Yes. So that did change 2 years ago, from 22 down to 15. So I would recommend, we did update our documentation, and I know some organizations still have some of the old documentation. It's still floating out there, and it still looks very similar. So what I would do is, if you are logged into your computer right now, on the right-hand side, we have our GoToMeeting, well, mine's on the right-hand side, the GoToMeeting bar. And actually in there, there's a handout section, and it should list that that there's one handout in there, and that's the most up-to-date nominations packet. But I will also make sure that goes out to everyone following this meeting.
Okay. Again, regarding the whole global distancing situation, is there any consideration for the requirements of the photos
The other thing is I would argue that if you have a great candidate, just provide what you can get. Because I realize that some organizations like to do photo shoots, and that's not really going to be totally possible. So I would recommend providing what you can for those, because we do ask once the nominees are chosen, the awardees are chosen, our managing editor actually reaches out again, Mr. Rayondon Kennedy, and he just makes sure, do you have an updated photo? Do you have, the best looking photo? Our graphic design team will reach out to the technologist of the year to find out. So I would say provide the best photo that you can with everything considered right now.
All right, we've got a couple more questions.
Okay.
First is there a max number of awards done in each category?
No. It depends on the category. There's only going to be one technologist of the year. We've never had more than one technologist of the year. Typically, you'll see about two career achievement, and we do split those recognitions between industry and government often. So we may have two individuals who are getting the the career achievement in industry, and maybe two more getting career achievement in government. It just depends. Some categories we usually receive more nominations than others, and you may only see one person who's getting an award from one of the categories that maybe doesn't get as many nominations. What I would say is that it does vary from year to year. There is no cap at the Outstanding Achievement Awards, but we do see that some of our categories are very competitive, and that's where we start getting those discretionary awards, is that there's just so many great people, and we often see that somebody may be a great pioneer in their industry, and that's where we get the Pioneer Award. So I wouldn't say that there's any cap, but I will say that there are very few of the peer reviewed. So you'll see usually no more than two per category.
Okay. Can someone be nominated for more than one category?
Absolutely. So there's actually, and I'll show you this. In the application, you can submit the same application for more than one category. So what's really cool is once you finish the nomination, I'm back on ccgheroes.com. There's a button at the bottom that says, I want to submit this submission to another category. You can click that, save and submit. And then what it'll do is pull up another application that has all the information already pre-filled. All you have to do is switch out the category. Now, that being said, if you are consciously submitting to people, maybe one person for career achievement and for managerial leadership, it may be easier, I would say, to maybe just switch out the cover page, or if people are doing letters of recommendation, that they acknowledge that this person is being nominated for both. Maybe they say, I agree that they're being nominated for community service and new media leadership. It just helps the selection committee members to know that it wasn't put in the wrong category, and we explain everything to them, that they can be submitted for multiple categories. But I do recommend just even your cover page could list both on there, and it just makes it a lot easier for everybody to just make sure that an error was not created, that everything is good to go, and that everybody's in the correct categories. Back to you, Brandon.
Okay. Let's see here. We'll move on down to the chat now. You mentioned this in the presentation, but what is the protocol for incomplete packages?
Sure. So if a package is incomplete, the selection committee reserves the right not to read it. We will provide, and I'm talking peer reviewed for right now. Peer reviewed, if it's incomplete, there are certain things that cannot be incomplete. Let me start with that. The nomination form must be completed. It must be signed. It will not even make it to the selection committee if it's not signed. If you submit something and there's any pieces missing, say you submit it and there's no biography in it or resume, and it's missing that biography resume component, then I can go in, and what I do is I actually review every single application that comes in, and I look to see not quality, but just to make sure on a checklist is everything there. And then if something is missing, when I do my checklist, then I send an email from nominations@ccgmag.com through our site that just says, hey, you were missing this. Here's the explanation of the documentation that was missing, and get that to us as soon as possible. Or, it'll have a deadline, please get it to us by this, and we usually add it into the package for you. So, I understand there's a lot going on, and sometimes you can miss something very easily, and everybody makes mistakes, so we want to work with you to get the best products out there. Now, if it's an outstanding achievement award, that's a slightly different situation. Because there is no selection committee vetting these, and it's really the organization vetting. I still do the thing where I actually go through and do a checklist of everything, making sure that all the different documentation is there, but nothing can be missing. So I have to have a photo, I have to have the nomination form, the cover letter or letter of recommendation, and the bio or resume. All 4 of those pieces have to be there. And if any of them are missing, we can't move forward until all of them are there. So you'll get emails from me from nominations@ccgmag.com just saying, hey, can you send me this at your earliest convenience? Now that's going to go to the nominator. It won't, the nominee, even if it's a surprise or something, they're not going to see any of that. We're just going to reach out to the nominator and say, hey, we saw that you submitted this, we're just missing this, please get it to us at your earliest convenience. Sometimes we find that things like when someone has saved a PDF that had a signature on it, now the signature's gone. That happens sometimes when people are moving from computers to computers, and we understand that, and we want to work with you. So, okay.
All right. So let's see here. Go back to the questions really quick. So you did inform us that one person can submit all the nominations on behalf of the company, but is there a limit to how many people can be nominated from one company?
No, there is not. You can submit as many as you'd like, with understanding that most likely these individuals will be coming to the conference. So you want to keep that in mind as well, is that these are going to be individuals representing you at the conference, and they're going to be physical bodies. Because at this point, at this juncture, Women of Color is still happening October 8th through the 10th. Nothing has changed as far as that's concerned in Detroit, Michigan.
Okay. See, we have one more question in here.
Okay.
And would you be able to share what some of the more competitive categories are?
Sure. What I can say is that it varies from year to year. So we always, I think, there's some categories that it lends itself a little bit more to, like career achievement, professional achievement. Those are always very competitive categories. However, it could vary. I mean, this year we could end up with no career achievement and have everybody in new media IT leadership. There are trends, but I would argue that, it really varies year to year depending on what the organizations are putting their individuals forward for. And I would also say that it does not matter which peer-reviewed category the individual is nominated for. We do look at the selection committee looks at all of those individuals that are nominated for the technologist of the year. So they could come from any of those categories that they're nominated from. It doesn't have to be a career achievement or a managerial leadership or, outstanding technical contribution. It could be any of those peer-reviewed categories, which those are here. Okay. Were there any other questions that we had, Brandon?
I'm going back through. think I might have skipped this one. But if someone was nominated previously, can
Mhm.
they be nominated again?
Yes, they can be nominated again. We just need to keep in mind that they most likely, well, let me put it this way, they won't be able to win the same award again. So if they were nominated and they won the career achievement, they're not going to be able to win the career achievement again. They've already gotten that award. But that doesn't mean that they couldn't be nominated and possibly then get the Technologist of the Year award. Um, Usually we see this happening, that people are sort of moving up. So if they get maybe a Technology Rising Star award, then maybe they'll get a Technology All-Star award when they get you have a little more years of experience. Or maybe one year they get outstanding achievement like a Technology All-Star, and then they're nominated for like corporate responsibility. So we usually don't see somebody getting a peer-reviewed award and then going back and getting a outstanding achievement award. There's usually a progression, and we've had some individuals get a special recognition or a peer-reviewed award and then go on to win Technologist of the Year.
Okay. Uh, getting more questions coming in.
Okay, sure.
So this is more of a more broad question, but what is the total number of awardees, probably in years past and things like that?
So it always varies. It's never the same. It depends on how many that we get. But if you took a look at our magazine, and I'll pull that up very briefly. Let me see. All of our past issues can actually be reached on Issue. We're going to allow cookies. Issue.com. And I'm actually going to pull up the Pamela McCauley issue. So you'll see that they're all recognized in here. So I don't know the exact numbers, and I don't want to be quoted on that just because I don't know them off the top of my head. But we always do a feature on the Technologist of the Year. This here that I'm showing is the list of all of the peer-reviewed award winners. This includes all of the discretionary award winners like Technologist of the Year. I think last year we had a Pioneer Award, a President's Award, a Visionary Award, and special recognition. We had all the special recognitions on the side. And then we have, so those are all of our peer reviewed. As you can see, they have a little bio in there with their photo. And then we have all of our Technology All-Stars and Rising Stars listed by their companies and their last names. So you can see that we do have a lot of Technology Rising Stars, All-Stars. They can continue onto this page and onto this page. I think that's the end. So we do have a lot of Technology Rising Stars, All-Stars. I would implore you to take a look at that that magazine as well. I don't know the exact counts, but it's usually in the couple hundreds for the Technology Rising Stars and All-Stars combined. That's why it's graduation style. And then we usually have between 30 to 40 peer reviewed between all events.
It seems like those are all of our questions as of now.
Okay. Well, what we'll do is we'll go through, I'll go through that list of all the questions that come through. If I do notice that there were any that we missed, then what I'll go ahead and do is reach out to you directly via email, since I have everyone who registered their email addresses. But I thank you very much, Brandon, for helping me out today with all the questions and facilitating the webinar. I thank you all for joining us today. If you have any questions whatsoever about the nomination process, I'm going to pop up our contact information once more. You'll be getting this email tomorrow. Okay, so again, reach out to us at nominations@ccgmag.com, phone number 410-244-7101, and we'll all be available to answer any of your questions. So again, I appreciate all of you. I hope you all stay safe, and I hope you have a good evening.